Oscar Pistorius' sports doctor, Wayne Derman, is expected to continue in the Paralympian's murder trial today. However, the High Court in Pretoria also has to deal with the latest shock development. We're talking about that leaked video footage of Pistorius' re-enacting events that occurred before and after he shot and killed Reeva Steenkamp last year. It was aired on Australian television last night. Now, for more on this, let's cross live to our journalist outside the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria. Griselda, a very good morning to you. How do you think that this video is going to affect the trial?
Well, a very good morning to you once again, Leanne. Well, really what will be interesting to be seen coming from inside court this morning, you would know that the cross-examination of Professor Derman continues, and whether the state will bring up this video that has been linked. You'd know that Professor Derman's testimony last week really centered around Oscar Pistorius and how immobile he is on his stumps, what difficulty it is that Oscar Pistorius has on his stumps. So whether the state will bring up this video this morning remains to be seen, but certainly the likelihood would be that the defense will bring this up, would be one of the first things that the defense brings up this morning when the case does resume in court this morning. But to give us a bit in terms of expert opinion to understand what might possibly happen this morning, I'm joined by Dr. Llewellyn Curlewis once again. Dr. Curlewis, thank you very much for your time again this morning. Certainly the defense, they would want to start by bringing this up. This is massive in terms of what has happened. Another twist in the Oscar Pistorius murder trial. Yeah,
let us be practical about the question before court. Either it will be raised from the outset or it won't. If it is, I would presume Barry Roo will be inclined to mention it when the court proceedings start this morning to get clarity and finality on that very issue from the outset. Because the other alternative is obviously to remain silent about it, in which event Gerry Nel must then decide whether he wants to confront Professor Derman with the contents of this video footage that supposedly will contradict the version that was placed before court last week. It's either that, or the third possibility is then obviously to let it be and then ultimately decide whether you want to reopen your case to introduce the video footage at a later stage. I would be inclined personally to let it out in the open as soon as possible. It is all over the world currently, and one would like to see what the judge make about all these things. I would also think that the judge would also want the matter to be disposed of as soon as possible, and if this latest development might bring about another postponement, I would think she would rather assist both parties to get it out there in the open from the outset and get it over and done with. Well,
Dr. Curlewis, I mean, this is the foundation of this case. Whether Oscar Pistorius is able to run on his stumps, whether he was able to carry Reeva Steenkamp, or whatever the circumstances were surrounding what happened on that morning. Now, bringing this up to to Professor Derman, that was the foundation of what he spoke about last week. I want to talk about what impact does this have on the case? It's a question that we all want to know. Does this have any bearing on this case?
I think you've already answered your own question. You have mentioned the fact that it is on face value highly relevant, and if that's the case, then it's admissible. Obviously, there are certain limitations to admissibility, but I would be inclined to think that the judge would, in the interest of justice, then allow the state to confront Professor Derman with this video footage that is exactly in contradiction with the evidence that was provided by the defense's own expert witnesses. So let's see what happens. The judge has the final call on it. I do think there will be arguments in relation to contraventions of breach of contract and that kind of questions that might be raised later on. But that is for a civil court to decide upon. It's got nothing to do with the criminal court, and I would be inclined to think that she will allow it.
Dr. Llewellyn Curlewis, thank you very much for your time once again there, giving us some insight into what might possibly happen inside court this morning following the leaking of that video at the weekend. Back to you in studio.
Thank you very much for that update. Mop-up operation.